This video is sponsored by Squarespace. We're coming up to the 2-year anniversary of the Lumix G9ii. I mean, how fast has that gone? I thought it was time for a long-term review, and I can go through what I love, what I think missed the mark with this camera, and whether it might be right for you now. I've had a lot of different shooting experience with the G9ii, so I'm going to split this up into like categories of what I've used it for and what it's good for, so feel free to skip around if there's a particular genre that interests you more than others. So why is the G9ii so delightful? Well, I think the obvious answer is phase detect, autofocus, and subject detection on a camera that's made by Lumix and Micro Four Thirds. It was the first phase detect camera that Lumix made in the Micro Four Thirds system, better late than never, and there's still only blooming 2 available, which is the G9ii and the GH7. One of the things I've used it to death with is wildlife photography and videography. My first trip with this camera was to Kenya on safari before the G9ii even came out. All of these photos were taken with pre-production firmware and it still kicked actual butt. The burst modes are superb. The newer 25 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensor in this camera prioritizes better low light performance and better dynamic range, and I really did feel the benefit of that on this trip. The weather sealing meant that the dust that was everywhere at all times was not an issue at all. The video came out beautifully. So whether it's larger animals or birds in flight, you can get some brilliant footage and photo with the G9ii. The autofocus is wonderful and, you know, it's been a long time coming. And the subject detection is great as well. You have dedicated animal and dedicated bird mode. And then you can also go in there and choose like eye or subject as well. So there's loads of different options for you to tune the camera to get it to work best for you. So how about content creation? Now this is very much a hybrid camera. You can shoot in open gate, which is what I'm shooting in now. This is 5.8K in open gate. You've got lots of different options for video. You have your flat profiles. You even have real-time LUT built in as well, so you can stick the LUT on in camera if you like. You have up to 4K 120p slow motion, which is insane. And I've used it a ton, actually, most recently when I was doing some promotional videos for this trapeze company. I mean, how talented and also like how cool. So the workflow of this job was mostly vertical, but also I wanted to shoot horizontal because, you know, you want horizontal for the websites, but socials want vertical. So while the 120p is in 16:9, I made sure that the subject was in the center so that I could crop it in vertically and so I could use it for both. And then I shot a lot in the 4.4K 60p open gate, which gives you a bit more headroom, which means I can very easily convert those clips in vertically or horizontally, whichever the client wants. It was such a fun job. I got the 360 camera involved. I got the little Insta360 Go Ultra on the performers. I was a pig in poop. I was so happy. And the G9ii was the perfect camera for the job. Now, coincidentally, or not, because I've brainwashed her, my wonderful friend Rebecca was there at the time doing photos. I was doing video, she was doing photos, and she's a G9ii convert, and so I thought I'd pick her brains while I was there. Tell us about what you do with your G9ii.
I mainly, for my job, do aerial circus dances. I also photograph dogs. I know it's like a very random combination of the two. Essentially, they're very similar in the terms that it's both sort of action photography, both using a fast shutter speed.
For pet photography in particular, what's your lens of choice?
My go-to is always the 35-100. It's my favourite doggy lens. Some of the more close-up dogs, like I think there is actually probably slobber on my lens.
It's nice to know someone uses the equipment as badly as I do.
Oh yeah, it's covered in mud and, you know, dog slobber and sand and everything.
What's your burst mode of choice?
For dogs, I tend to go for 20 frames a second. With aerial, if I'm doing something high speed in water or anything like that, I may use pre-burst mode in some of those just in case, just because I want to get the shot. So I probably do overshoot in that instance, but I like to know I've got options.
There's method to your madness. Yeah. I'm team mechanical shutter 10 frames a second on the G9ii most of the time, just because I sound like a boss. Like you're dead sneaky and dead silent and I'm like shh. So any regrets 2 years in now? You're an early adopter?
I love it. I absolutely love this camera. I use it more than any camera I've ever used in my life. There's still things I learn about it that I'm like, oh, Emily, did you know this? And you're like, yeah, of course.
For YouTube in particular, as I say, I'm shooting on it now. I think it looks perfectly fine. Just because I'm a messy bugger, sometimes I prefer shooting full frame so that my shelves are more out of focus. But in terms of like, in terms of like autofocus and it's sticking to my face, it's absolutely fine. That is literally the only reason that I shoot full frame in here. Out and about, it's superb. I hand this camera to my husband or my mum or stick it on a tripod, and it's very simple to get some very reliable shots of me working because I know the autofocus will work without anyone having to do anything. For video, it's superb. One thing to bear in mind is there is no thermal management. So you don't get the big fan that you would get in the GH7 or similar. I've never once had it overheat unless I've been trying to get it to overheat, like in a stress test for a video. But do bear that in mind. If you are shooting in hot climates, long takes regularly, then the GH7 has thermal management, and then the S5 II and the S1 II, etc. also have thermal management. But in the real world, in 2 years, it's not affected me once. But I do live in the UK, so. So what about for travel as a hybrid setup? Now, I first was invited to LA for a Lumix creative retreat. We got to stay in Johnny Cash's ranch. What is my life sometimes? It wasn't for a new camera launch or anything. It was just like, hey, we all shoot Lumix, let's go and make content together. And everyone was rocking their trusty S5 Mark IIs, and I was flying the Micro Four Thirds flag. Of course I was. While we were there, we did lots of different creative things. We photographed some polo players, for example. There were hummingbirds at Johnny Cash's ranch, so that was a great photo opportunity, and it did wonderful. I extended that trip because, if I'm flying all that way, why not? I did some street photography around Santa Monica Pier. Now, I did a lot of these at night, and I did these handheld long exposures. So for photography, it is wonderful. Just bear in mind it is that little bit bigger. If you pair it with a prime, like I've got now, I'm a professional. So this is what I'm shooting on now. It's the DJI 15mm f1.7, the Lumix Leica clone. It's quite a small setup. It does the job, but you still have the chunky grip. So for everyday carry, this probably isn't the one, but some people just aren't bothered about that. Some people want a really powerful tool for the job. I also took this camera to Costa Rica, and I took only the Olympus 40-150 f2.8 for that trip. So cross-branded, the autofocus is even fine. So for travel, in terms of the photo and the video, blooming wonderful. In terms of carrying it around, it's a little bit chunky. Pros and cons. One of my favorite trips/experiments with the Lumix G9ii was my low light experiment during polar night in December in Norway, in Tromsø. So polar night, there was like 20 minutes in a dream of daylight. And by daylight, I mean like twilight. It was just all dark all the time. So it was the perfect low light test. I took several really good Micro Four Thirds lenses that are supposed to be very good in low light, so really wide aperture lenses, to put both the camera and Micro Four Thirds in general to the test. The results, I think, are gorgeous. And because, as I mentioned earlier, you do have the newer 25 megapixel sensor, which is excellent for dynamic range and low light. And the blooming RAW files are massive, like 40 meg. It's mental. The benefit of that is there's details, details, details. Basically, I think Panasonic have engineered this sensor within an inch of its life to give you as much dynamic range and low light performance as you can get on the system currently with the tech that we have. It's always a risk going to these places with smaller censored gear. I mean, what if I'd have got there and all my photos were terrible? I'd have been livid. But thankfully, and weirdly, a couple of weeks later, I went to the same place for the Lumix S1R2. The Lumix S1R2 launch in Norway. We had a bit more light at that time, but at full frame, or Micro Four Thirds, I managed to get photos that I was happy with, both instances. People who say you can't get good low light out of Micro Four Thirds are either snobs or don't have good technique, because you absolutely can. I've got some videos coming up on this actually soon. Not about people being snobs, by the way, about how to shoot in low light. How about some work that I've done with the G9ii? I've shot a wedding film or 3 on this camera, and it's been wonderful. The slow motion's great. You can color grade it lovely. It works wonderful. I did some really good creative shoots with this as well. I went to a place called Tank Space in Nottingham, and I drowned some of my friends. And I love, love, love these photos. This is one of the best photo shoots I've ever done, and Micro Four Thirds was not a detriment in the slightest. As you can see, it was awesome. I also did this fire shoot, and the burst modes, as you can see, you don't only shoot wildlife with burst modes, you can shoot a ton of cool stuff with burst modes. Another thing that I used the burst modes for was these kingfisher shots. Now, these happened so quickly, this was actually locked off manual focus. I got the camera to the edge of the water, used a little stick with a line on it to sort of guess where the birds might land, and then shooting locked off, the burst mode ramp up to like more speed than you'd ever need, and I got some great kingfisher shots. And I just have to highlight more of this trapeze stuff because Rebecca took some amazing shots. Even one or two of me, yes, I had a go. It was terrifying. It was super duper fun, but terrifying. Yeah, for photo and video action shots, it's absolutely epic. So it's been 2 years now, and this is arguably my favorite brand's flagship camera. Why have I not used it every minute of every single day? Say it with me. You know what I'm gonna say. It's just a bit chunky. I think in terms of a tool for professional work, for when you need something rugged and wonderful, like for Kenya, for example, this is a wonderful, wonderful option. But I would give many things to get a similar spec camera in a smaller camera body. I think I could just pack up shop and be done at that point because it would be the perfect camera. But not everyone gives a crap about it being small. Sometimes people just want a tool that's excellent for photo and video, and this absolutely is. The camera also has my very favorite feature in pretty much all cameras, which is real-time LUT. So when you do shoot those lovely JPEGs, you can put on your own custom presets in camera. It's sort of less fun to play with on the G9 II because I personally am less likely to take this out for a little pootle around Paris like I did with the S9 recently. But it's in there and it works great for both photo and video. If you want a camera that is genuinely excellent at pretty much everything you throw at it, is weather sealed, is pretty affordable now actually, has excellent stabilization, excellent autofocus, it's blooming great. Blooming great. And I think it's nice to sort of look back and see just how cool this camera is, because like, I talk about a lot of cameras on this channel, and at the heart of Micro Four Thirds is this wonderful flagship. And I don't think it gets quite as much recognition as it deserves. Let me just quickly tell you about the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace have been my website making platform for over a decade. I absolutely love them. They're super, super easy to get to grips with if you're looking to build your own website. You can make something stylish and professional in a few clicks. What a time to be alive. I use my Squarespace website as a place to host my own photography portfolio. I've got all of my Kenya photos on there actually taken with the G9 II and the original OM1. So if you would like more of a peep of that, definitely check that out. And you can also add on different features depending on what you need. I even run my mailing list over there. So if you would like some exclusive Micro Four nerdy content into your inbox intermittently, very intermittently, definitely sign up for that. So if you'd like to give Squarespace a go, head over to this URL and see what they can do. And if you like the look at it and you would like to launch your website, you can use the code Micro4Nerds for some money off.